Can you believe it? Just remember these 4 things, and you can overcome the fear of diabetes at home without having to constantly visit the hospital. It's a very easy method that anyone can start right now at home. I know how difficult it is to wait endlessly at the hospital and take strong medication every day. Yes, you desperately want a life free from the constraints of blood sugar levels. Yes, I'm Professor Ji-Hoon Kim, with 35 years of experience. Yes, what I've realized from caring for tens of thousands of patients is that true recovery begins not in the hospital room, but with 4 small habits in your own home. Yes. Today I'll reveal all 4 golden principles that will save your tired organs and help your blood vessels heal themselves. Yes, check out this miraculous method to regain your health without relying on the hospital. Yes, please give it a like and support for your health. Yes, where are you right now? I'll prepare a more informative video tailored to your location. To understand why the 4 methods I'm about to share can change the course of your disease, we must first face an uncomfortable but essential medical truth. Yes, don't just look at the rice bowl or the medicine bag to see why your blood sugar is high. Yes, the real cause is the intestines. Yes, the intestines are the starting point of all problems. I always explain it this way. Yes, the intestines are the factory that produces insulin, and insulin is the key that opens the doors of cells. In a healthy person's body, the moment glucose enters the bloodstream after eating, the factory called the intestines immediately starts running, creating countless insulin keys. These keys rush to each cell, opening the doors, allowing glucose to enter and be burned for energy. Consequently, blood sugar levels always remain within the normal range. This is why the body is strong and the mind is clear. Yes, but what happens in the bodies of people suffering from diabetes? Yes, the intestines, which have been working in parentheses for decades, are exhausted and are now effectively on strike. Yes, the factory is sick and they can't produce enough keys, or even if they do, they rust and can't open the doors. Yes, so the doors of the cells are tightly shut and glucose, with nowhere to go, accumulates in the blood. Yes, this is why blood sugar levels rise. Yes, what the iron did was while the blood is overflowing with sugar, the cells are actually you're always tired and your legs feel weak because you lack energy. Yes, and in this situation, if you keep pushing medication and forcing sugar processing, your intestines will deteriorate even faster. Yes, that's why I'm not talking about increasing your medication today. My promise is clear. I'm going to teach you how to revive this exhausted intestine factory in 4 very simple ways you can do at home. Yes, warming your intestines, supplying oxygen, and giving them real time. That's all there is to it. Once the factory starts running again, the key will naturally form, and your blood sugar will drop to a safe level without you having to force it. Now, don't you want to know how to reopen this factory? If your intestines are a factory, what's the switch that turns it back on? Yes, I'll say it firmly. Temperature. Yes, it's so simple that everyone misses it, but medically speaking, your intestines are one of the most cold, vulnerable organs in your body. Yes, your intestines are hidden deep in the back of your stomach. The moment your stomach gets cold, the surrounding blood vessels constrict as if freezing. As a result, the key, called insulin, created in the factory, becomes trapped inside, unable to come out. Yes, I take medication and eat. If you ask why your blood sugar keeps jumping, I'll first answer, are you warming your abdomen? Yes. So the first prescription I give you is abdominal heat. Yes, the method is very simple. Take an electric compress, a hot water bottle, or another towel, and place it above your navel, below your solar plexus. Yes, that's the golden spot, closest to your intestines. Yes, the most important time is 20 minutes after dinner. Yes, and as the blood vessels that were frozen during the day warm up, they gradually open. Just like a factory door blocked by ice melts, the insulin trapped inside suddenly flows out into the blood vessels. And at that moment, it captures the glucose just ingested from the meal and begins to push it into the cells, thus abruptly cutting off the so-called post-meal spike in blood sugar. Yes, this isn't a miracle, it's a physiological drug. Yes, without pushing the drug in harder, the temperature alone makes the insulin do its job. Yes, it's more effective than one expensive drug. Water bag, here's why you need one first. Yes, but remember, just opening the door won't fully revive the factory. Yes, it's time for oxygen and fresh blood. Yes, so the next step is to move your feet, a strategy to revive your feet. Yes, I'll clearly explain why soaking your feet saves your intestines. Now that you've warmed your belly and opened the door to the factory, the next question is, how do we supply the fuel and oxygen to actually get the factory running again? Yes, if you look at the bodies of people with long-term diabetes, there's one thing in common. Their blood isn't flowing cleanly, but rather sticky like honey, preventing it from carrying enough oxygen to the most important organ, the intestines. Yes, I'll put this very bluntly in medical terms. The intestines can't breathe. No matter how much you open the door, if oxygen doesn't arrive, the factory will shut down again. Yes, that's why you need a powerful, yet drug-free, natural pump, a foot-based shunt pump. Yes, the key here isn't simply soaking your feet in hot water. It must be you need to use hydrotherapy, alternating between hot and cold. Yes, preparation is simple. One is warm water, around 40 degrees Celsius. It should be warm enough to feel warm when you put your hand in it. The other is lukewarm water, around 20 degrees Celsius, straight from the tap. Yes, first, soak your feet in warm water for 3 minutes. This will open the blood vessels in your feet and legs, causing blood to rush downward. Then, immediately move to cold water for 1 minute. The momentary cold stimulus constricts the blood vessels, forcing the blood that had just pooled upwards towards the abdomen with strong pressure. Yes, repeat this 3-minute warm, 1-minute cold rhythm 3 times, always ending with warm water. Why is this process important? This powerful current pressure created by your feet acts like a pump, delivering fresh, oxygen-rich blood directly to your longest cells. The cells that were dying one by one, suffocating, will be reborn the moment they receive this oxygen. And remember, once your cells are alive, don't force them out. Even without it, it begins to produce itself. Yes, this is not a trick to temporarily lower the level, but the most sustainable path to recovery that revitalizes the body's fundamental functions. When these two things, warming the abdomen and drawing blood to the feet, are the foundation of all things, the urethra can finally begin to breathe again. If you wake up 3 or 4 times a night to the bathroom, your feet are as cold as ice, and you wake up in a daze as if you've lost your soul, then the story I'm about to tell you is a lifeline. This simple exercise of alternating between warm and cold feet doesn't just revive the urethra. The warm current created by your feet rises upward, benefiting the kidneys and bladder. If your kidneys are cold, they won't be able to concentrate urine at night, causing you to keep waking up. But the moment your kidneys warm, they won't produce unnecessary urine at night. In fact, if you practice this consistently for just 1 month, you'll see your urge to go to the bathroom drop from 4 times a night to just 1, or you'll even have a day where you sleep soundly until morning. The reason you wake up with warm feet and a clear head is simple. Deep sleep gives your body time to heal the urethra. Yes, I remember a 75-year-old Mr. Lee I treated. Yes, his eyes were completely dark from going to the bathroom 5 times every night. Even though he took his medication regularly, his fasting blood sugar level was always over 180 in the morning. Yes, I only asked for one thing. Yes, sir, soak your feet every night before bed. Yes, 3 weeks later, the siren called me in an excited voice. Yes, sir, that's strange. I woke up only once last night, and my morning blood sugar level was 132. Yes, the reason is clear. Yes, by placing my feet on the table, I was able to draw blood, and during that golden sleep, the body repaired its own cholangiocytes. Yes, that's why I'm here. Yes, warm feet are a sign of a healthy cholangiocytes. Yes, now that oxygen and blood are sufficiently supplied, the next step is a smart diet that will not further overwork the cholangiocytes. Yes, how to eat a full meal without raising blood sugar levels. Let's move on to the third strategy, reheating cold rice. We've already covered the cholangiocytes. I learned how warmly open the body and forcefully pump oxygen and blood through the feet. However, there's a very important medical principle here. If you force a recovering plant to work more, it will collapse again. The most common fatal mistake diabetics make is eating freshly cooked, hot white rice. I explain this scene this way. The starch in hot rice, like a trained commando, instantly converts to glucose the moment it enters the stomach and rushes into the bloodstream. Then, the already exhausted intestines have to exert 10 times more force than usual to secrete insulin. This overwork ultimately damages the intestines further. So, to escape diabetes, the first thing to do is not to bake, but to change the nature of the work so that the intestines can handle it. The method is surprisingly simple. I'm not saying you shouldn't cook rice. After cooking, don't eat it immediately. Let it cool completely and store it in the refrigerator for 12 to 10 minutes. Then, take it out and reheat it for your next meal. Yes, professor. Reheating it will lose its effect. I often get asked, isn't that right? No, yes. Once the structure of starch changes during the refrigeration process, it retains its properties even when reheated. During this process, regular starch is converted into resistant starch, which means it is not easily digested by the body. This resistance changes the form. Instead of being rapidly absorbed as glucose in the small intestine, it slowly expands the intestine like a fibrous cord, reducing the rate at which it enters the blood sugar to less than half. As a result, the intestine can breathe and secrete insulin slowly and stably, and blood sugar levels no longer spike like a roller coaster. Yes, I call this a blood sugar shield. Yes, it's the only way to give the intestine a rest while eating a full meal. Yes, the way to save the intestines lies not in extreme restraint, but in the wisdom of changing its structure. Yes, we now know the key to a diet that doesn't harass the intestines. If you follow this method consistently for just 1 month, your blood sugar graph will take on a completely different appearance. Yes, what was your blood sugar until now? It was a literal roller coaster, rising to 200 after eating rice, then dropping suddenly enough to make your hands and feet tremble. Yes, the reason it's dangerous isn't because it's high, but because it fluctuates rapidly. However, if you develop the habit of eating cold rice, the situation changes. Thanks to the blood sugar shield called starch, postprandial blood sugar levels no longer rise. Instead of spiraling vertically, it moves only as gentle ripples. You'll see your blood sugar, which had been like a rough ride, stabilize like a flat lake. And then comes the clear sign of victory. The inexplicable craving for sweets disappears, and your so recalcitrant fasting blood sugar, or fasting glucose, begins to slowly decline. And when the number 180 drops to 150 and finally 110 milligrams of perdiculite, it's no coincidence. That's proof that your CholesterolHealth has regained its dominance. Eating a full meal without your blood sugar spike isn't a miracle, but the result of science, resistant starch. Having reduced the burden on your CholesterolHealth during the day, the final step is to create time for it to repair and maintain overnight. And what role does darkness play in lowering morning blood sugar? Now, let's begin the fourth strategy, sleep and light. Now, the way to keep your CholesterolHealth alive during the day is all locked up. Open it warmly, push oxygen in, and reduce the burden of food. Yes, but it doesn't end here. Yes, there's one last, most crucial piece of medical science left. Yes, CholesterolHealth needs to rest as well as eat well to recover. Yes, I believe most patients miss this point. Yes, and just as a machine that's been working all day will eventually break down if you keep it running at night, CholesterolHealth also needs maintenance time at night. And this maintenance shop only operates under one condition, complete darkness. When you go to bed, even a small night light, a street light filtering through the curtains, or even a faint glimmer of light on your phone screen, your body mistakes it for daytime. Yes, at that moment, CholesterolHealth misunderstands that he still needs to work and can't enter recovery mode. Yes, I'm making it very clear. When you go to bed, always turn off all lights and close the curtains completely. Yes, this isn't an option. It's part of the treatment. Yes. In addition, there's one more important rule. A complete fast from midnight until midnight the next morning. During these 10 hours, CholesterolHealth is turned off and only performs maintenance. This is because a hormone called melatonin is secreted in the dark. Many people simply think of melatonin as a substance that helps with digestion, but medically, melatonin is a top-notch technician who repairs damaged cells. It repairs the longest cells damaged by daytime blood sugar fluctuations, one by one overnight. When this process begins to function properly, your most stubborn blood sugar level, your morning fasting blood sugar, drops noticeably. Yes, this is a change you can confirm with numbers, not a feeling. And as a bonus, recovery follows. For those who have always experienced numbness and tingling in their toes, and for those who have experienced blurred vision, this is the result of sugar blocking microscopic nirvana. If you adhere to all 4 principles for about a month, your blood will be purified and oxygen supply restored, and you will feel the sensation in your feet and your vision clearer. This is not a simple improvement, but a sign that you are moving away from the worst complications, amputation and blindness. So, I have this final message. Darkness is not a cure. However, darkness is a condition that allows for recovery. One night light, one late night snack can destroy that condition. Yes, the 4 things I mentioned today are scattered. It's not a ghost. It's a complete recovery system that interconnects and revolves around one another. And if you keep this circle, CholesterolHealth will begin to function properly again. Now, I know you'll want to put the 4 principles I've outlined into practice right away. However, as a doctor and someone who has personally witnessed countless tragic cases, I must first give you a life-threatening warning. Yes, this first story in particular is what concerns me the most. So please remember this even if you forget everything else. Yes, diabetes is a silent disease. Yes, it doesn't just raise blood sugar levels. One day, alcohol steals away the feeling in your feet. Yes, many people who have known diabetes for a long time have already lost the ability to properly feel heat and cold in their feet due to peripheral nerve damage. This is dangerous because just as stepping on a sliver of a toenail or a piece of scallion doesn't hurt, they may feel fine putting their feet in hot water. And this is precisely where accidents occur. The moment you dip your foot in water and think, this isn't hot enough, the actual water temperature may be 60 or 70 degrees. And the result can be serious burns. Infection can even lead to necrosis. Yes, so I firmly state this. Never, ever check the temperature of water with your feet. Yes, always use your elbow when checking the temperature of water. The skin on your elbow is thin and sensitive, so you can immediately sense dangerous temperatures. Yes, the safest way is to ask a child or family member to fill the water for you. Yes, and remember, the temperature we want is not cold water. Yes, and the temperature that feels warm when you put your hand in it. About 40 degrees is more than enough. The idea that hotter water is more effective is completely wrong, and that one misconception can threaten your feet and life. Safety is more important than treatment. If you just follow this principle, you're already halfway there. This point must be addressed. Many people ask me this, Professor, if you reheat cold rice, doesn't that remove all the blood sugar fighting properties? Yes, to get to the bottom of it. No, not at all. Yes, after refrigerating rice for 12 to 10 minutes, the starch has already changed its structure once, becoming resistant starch. It will be redetermined. Yes, this change is not a temporary phenomenon, but a structurally stable state. Reheating it will not return it to its original fast-acting starch state. Yes, that's why I strongly recommend that you do not eat it cold. Always eat it warm. Yes, the stomachs of the elderly are sensitive to cold stimulation. Forcing yourself to eat hard, cold rice will damage your stomach before your blood sugar. Whether it's in a microwave or a steamer, heat the rice until it's soft and warm. Even then, the pathway for rapid absorption into blood sugar has already been blocked, and the blood sugar shield remains intact. In other words, eating it warm will have the same effect, and it's even better for digestion. Yes, the key to cold rice is not the temperature, but the structural change. Yes, if you understand the previous point correctly, there's no need to unnecessarily strain your body. Many people stick to this. Professor, when will you know that your longevity has improved? Yes, every time I tell you to put down the blood sugar meter. Yes, the daily numbers can fluctuate depending on food, stress, and sleep. Yes, instead, I have a golden index that I find most rude. It's the 107-point standard. Abdominal circumference, that is, waist circumference. Prepare a measuring tape and measure exactly 107 centimeters, 100 inches, high. Yes, if you're practicing the 4 things I've mentioned, this number will definitely begin to decrease within 2 weeks at the earliest or a month at the latest. Yes. The reason this change is important is because it doesn't simply mean you've lost weight. A decrease in abdominal circumference today means the visceral fat surrounding the intestines. In other words, the dirty fat that was suppressing the intestines' functions is disappearing. Yes, as long as this fat remains, the intestines cannot move properly, no matter how hard you try. But the moment this fat decreases, the intestines begin to regain their original strength, as if a chain of events had been released. Yes, that's why I'm here. If your waist circumference is decreasing, that's not an illusion, but the most definitive evidence that the intestines are truly recovering. Yes, and rather than obsessing over a single number, look for changes in your body structure. From then on, recovery will accelerate. Now, don't just think about what you've heard, but turn it into changes in your body. Yes, I'm not asking you to do everything from the beginning. Yes, then your body will be surprised, and your mind will be, I'm exhausted and about to give up. Yes, that's why I designed this 7-day recovery schedule. Yes, today is the most important of the first 2 days. It's the preparatory phase, telling your body that it's time to change course. And the goal of the first and second days is simply to awaken the blood vessels around the intestines and create an environment where insulin can naturally begin to flow out. As soon as you open your eyes in the morning, don't overthink it and slowly drink a cup of warm water, about 50 degrees Celsius. This cup is the starter that wakes up your internal organs that have been cold all night. It's still too early for cold water. You can go about your day as usual today. And after dinner, you can watch TV for 20 minutes or you can sit quietly. Place a warm compress below your solar plexus, above your navel. Yes, this is the golden time to gradually open the blood vessels leading to the intestines. Yes, it doesn't need to be hot. Oh, it's warm. That's enough. Yes, just repeat these 2 steps for 2 days. The purpose of this phase isn't to immediately lower your blood sugar. It's to help the intestines baggy.